Hey guys, how you doing? This is Joseph Ott here. I just wanted to come and make a new stream, and I am now using the Restream software. So this video is being streamed live to Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. And I think that this is going to be a really cool new way to educate people and to also try and find people that I can work with and collaborate with in trying to get really good results on litigation cases. So I have a couple different topics that I'm going to talk about today. And as you can see from the title of the video, the main focus that I wanted to talk about is the fact that I've recently, this week, I sent out a bunch of referral checks for people that referred me cases and that I was able to get great settlements on. And I'm really happy and honored to be able to do this. So I won't name any of the referral partners by name, but I did send out checks for instance, $15,000 and a few other checks to multiple other people. And so these are on cases that are personal injury cases primarily at present. But basically when I started my practice, I wanted to be able to help people get good results even on difficult cases. And so I am not afraid if you are a lawyer out there and you have a case in your docket that you don't think you can handle or that you don't want to handle. Feel free to refer me this case because I am not scared by difficult cases. And I've gotten really good results on very difficult fact patterns, including cases involving ERISA, cases involving contract disputes and stuff like that. So if you're a lawyer out there and want to refer somebody a case, feel free to give me a call. My number is on the screen there. So today on one of the cases I was referred, I was actually in front of the Court of Appeals, and this is on a premises liability case. And my client, very seriously injured, of course. The rub of the case, though, of course, was that the fall occurred on one of the days when St. Louis has these horrible ice storms. And so the problem is, in Missouri, we follow the Massachusetts rule. So under the Massachusetts rule, if there's a general condition affecting the area, then the client basically is not going to be allowed to have a jury trial. And so, I have, I think, 5 cases from people that fell on this day. And really, it's not a problem to me to take a case involving this day because there are certainly ways in which your client can still prevail, even if there's a general condition affecting the area. Basically, I think that with regards to these sorts of slip and falls, there's often, first of all, factual questions about when these storms start. So even if there was a storm later on in the day, if your client fell earlier in the day, then there's no general condition affecting the area, and that means that they should be allowed to prevail. And also, you've got to look at the way that the defendants, if there was ice that had accumulated in the days prior to when the client fell, then that is obviously something that is very relevant because the repeated melting and refreezing of ice upon the ground outside a store or an apartment complex is even better. There was a recent case involving a casino in which the plaintiff lost, but basically if there is repeated melting and refreezing of the ice outside of a particular facility, then that will allow the plaintiff to be able to prevail in some situations. And so these are cases that I really like to handle because people are very seriously injured when they have these slip and falls. And, I think that these are the types of cases that certainly the bigger firms are going to be, not want to touch because they just want to get that easy payday. But, we're willing to fight on these types of cases and, we're happy to do it, and we'll take it up to the Court of Appeals, and we will not basically back down at any point because there's a strong justice interest in allowing people to recover in this type of situation. And so I'm just going to look briefly at my little dialogue here because I actually had some other stuff that I wanted to talk about. And so let me just pull up here because I had a particular order. Yes, okay, so next thing I wanted to discuss. I had a client last week, and this client was charged with a very serious crime that would have resulted them in going to jail for the rest of their life. And we did a lot of great work on this case. We actually were able to, we filed a bunch of motions, and in my criminal cases, and I learned this strategy from Matt Mueller, who's now an attorney practicing in another state, but Matt was in my law school class, and he basically, you know, I've learned some from him, and basically in these criminal cases, I always want to get them set for trial right away. And the reason why is that when you request a speedy trial as a defendant in a criminal case in Missouri, the prosecution has a very limited amount of time in which to put on the trial. So there's actually pretty much a hard deadline. And if the prosecution takes too long, and as long as the defense lawyer is being aggressive with their motions, filing their motion in limine, taking whatever discovery they need to do, you know, it continues to defend the case aggressively. If the prosecution can't put the case on within that time frame, then the prosecution has to dismiss the case. And so this is a really powerful tool for Missouri defendants, and you know, we loved being able to help this person because they were very unfairly accused of the crime that they were charged with, and it was a very serious offense, you know, and even the charging of this offense, you know, really messed up their life in a lot of ways, but we were able to get them out of jail. And all of the charges that were originally brought against them were not prosecuted. Now, they still have a certain probationary period, but it certainly is better than the alternative. And in this circumstance, we think that this was a really great deal that we were able to work out. So I am very happy about that case. And so if there's anybody out there that's looking for a really good criminal lawyer, feel free to give me a call, because we do these criminal cases. We've got a bunch in our docket now, and are happy to be able to work on these cases. And then I also wanted to discuss, so I am going to now show you, we have been working for the past few months with a development company, and the development company's name is Blaze Clan. So this is a company out of Mumbai in India, and they have done a lot of great work with us in developing the application that we are intending to pursue in the future. So I'm going to now show you this application, and I'm just going to show you the design of it for right now, but I hope in the next coming weeks to be able to show you basically the working demo of it. And I want to try and get some lawyers that are interested in looking at this application so that I can get some feedback in terms of how the structure will work. And so basically, you know, I think with these machine learning technologies, these are going to really revolutionize the way that law is practiced in a lot of ways, because they will enable lawyers to take a significantly higher volume of cases while still ensuring that they're going to get the best possible outcome. And the reason that is the case is that by using optical character recognition, and also by using the transcription functions that machine learning can provide, it's much easier for a lawyer to manage a docket of cases and be able to you know, accurately assess what's going on in the cases, and you know, basically be able to review and have solid organizational structure for all of the documents that they're managing. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to select this group on OBS, and not that one though. I want to select this one, this group here. Yep, there we go. Okay, so I've been using Lucidchart for planning my applications, and I have a bunch in here that I've planned out, and I also use this for some of my case timelines. So for those of you that have hired me on some of these more complex litigation cases, we have a contract case coming up set for trial in January, and we think that this Lucidchart is a really effective tool for allowing people to have a visual representation of processes and evidence associated with their claim. So we do rely on this extensively in the law firm, but I also want to show you basically how I am planning out this application. And so basically the idea of the application is that it will take your case documents and extract the text from the documents and then store that text into the CRM. Okay, and so basically, as you know, attorneys use customer relationship management for the organization of their files, and there are a bunch of solutions that do this. So obviously, there's the legal specific cases solutions that everyone knows about. And then there's also some specific business software. For instance, we use Salesforce, but there's also the Microsoft product is a very compelling product, and there's a bunch of sort of other ones. So anyway, these CRM programs, they organize the cases and they help the lawyer to assess what is going on in each of the individual files and to be able to monitor all of the files at a glance. So, you know, for instance, at our firm, we have employees that assist with processing the individual cases. And we also have with regards to the, for instance, we've worked with some of these other firms that do the big class action type cases. And so obviously this is a very important function for this type of individual. So basically though, what we're going to do is, so we'll have our record page on the case, and then we're going to have an accordion file structure that is going to take and organize the cases on the basis of the individual client file types. So basically, in the practice of law, I learned from a very great lawyer about how to organize the files at the beginning of the case. And you know, what I learned was that, you know, typically, is particularly in a litigation or injury type situation, you're going to want to have your files organized into at least these 5 types of documents. So we have the filings, the medical records, the client documents, investigations, and correspondence. And of course, there's other file types as well, and different lawyers may use different structures, but and we want to accommodate that. But for now, I'm just going to build this for myself, and then I'm going to see how I can sort of adapt it for sale to other people. So we have in these types of documents, we have the different files, and of course, based upon what type of document it is, you put it into the different folder, of course. So if you have a client document, you know, that's going to be basically the stuff you get from the client at the beginning of the case, all the little papers that they give you and that type of thing. The correspondence, of course, will be letters that are either mailed out or that come in from the other side. Then you'll have your medical records, and the medical records are, of course, the medical records associated with the case, and this is going to be like hospitals, bills, that type of thing. Then we have the filings, which are the actual pleadings, and the investigations, which is going to be evidence that we have derived from our investigation of the facts associated with the case, and perhaps any theories of liability that we believe are going to help our client. So what we're going to do with these documents, on the basis of what type of document it is, we are going to, the first step will be the, so for the document ingestion. We will first, when the document is ingested into the file system, we will affix a unique document identifying number onto the file so that it's provable that every document has been scanned into the system. And so this is extremely important if you have a high volume practice, that you can prove every single document has made it into the document system. And so this is a necessity. And we've also considered adapting some sort of blockchain function to ensure that the individual documents that are ingested can be preserved, and so that we can verify whether or not anything has been deleted. And this is a very important thing for lawyers, because if you're using SharePoint or Google Docs, there's actually a known error rate in terms of the retention of documents. And so basically you need to have, your system could be deleting documents and you may not even know it. And so this is why you need to have this type of system. Okay, so basically then, after the document has been affixed with a unique identifying number, it will then be uploaded to our machine learning and document preparation function. Okay, so basically what this is going to do is, when the document is ingested into the system, after it has been affixed with the unique document identifying number and provably ingested, at that point, depending upon what type of document it is, it will run a different machine learning function on the document. So for instance, if it's a medical record, it's going to run a medical ontology that assesses in the individual medical records all of the diagnostic codes associated with the documents, and will assess all of so pull out all of the billing tables, including the billed and paid, that will pull out from the narratives individual symptoms that have been cross-referenced with a medical ontology, and that will inflect the significance of particular symptoms to a particular diagnostic code. And then so basically this is going to help with management of large amounts of medical documents. And of course, this is not an excuse for not reading the documents yourself. You will have to read still your 1,000 pages, and I do this routinely. But what it will allow you to do is to take those individual medical records and be able to see at a glance in your CRM the different symptoms that are associated with a client as they are treating on an ongoing basis. And so this is very helpful for strategizing in terms of how you're going to move the case forward. And so we'll have similar functions for each of the different file types. So for instance, for correspondence, we will be assessing performing a semantic analysis on the individual files. And the correspondence associated with the files, for instance, if a certain word appears with more regularity than it would be expected to. So for instance, words like a, and the appear the same amount of times in the English language, but then there are other words that appear within a document, depending upon what the document's about, they're going to appear with more frequency. And so if you have a document or a word that's appearing with more frequency in a document, the machine learning can deduce what the document is relatively about. Now, of course, this is, again, no excuse for not reading the document yourself, but what it will allow you to do is to take all of your correspondence for all of your files and view all at once a semantic analysis of how a file is progressing. You can even see on a timeline, depending upon the date of the file, what the tone and tenor of the letters in correspondence is, and use this again to strategize and basically maximize the client's outcome in the case. So basically we're going to do this for all of the different file types, and I'm really happy that we now have a proof of concept for how this is going to work. And so I have my proof of concept ready to go, and I've been kind of playing around with it. And now I'm moving to the next step, which is ingesting all my files and then hooking it up to Salesforce. And then after I've done that and it works properly, then I'm going to start hooking it up to other CRMs, including Clio and that kind of thing. So I'm really excited about this, and I'm really happy about some of the progress that our firm has made recently. So I'm just going to maximize this again. And if anybody has any questions or would like to investigate with more detail the system that we're working on, or would like to refer me any cases, or if they would like to, if you're a client or a potential client and you have a legal question involving literally anything, feel free to give me a call for a free or low-cost consultation in some cases. So for some stuff, if you're like an established business, we would want to get perhaps a fee or a family law case. But for most cases, it's a no-cost consultation, particularly if you're just a standard consumer. And we would love to take care of your legal issues. And if we can't take care of them ourselves, then we would be happy to find somebody else that can take care of them for you. I think that's about it, and I'm happy that we were able to send out these big referral checks this week, and I am excited to see down the line. If anybody has any questions, feel free to give me a call. Thanks.